there folks, welcome ye all to a cheap little Friday vlog of mine. Now, you might think I'm getting lazy, people, because this is the second Friday in a row that I've done a cheap one. But it isn't that. It isn't that, I promise you. I had every intention, actually, of doing a Flagons Up Friday vlog as a proper one. However, for those of you that have been following some of the comments on the channel and the fact that I've just finished The Last of Us Part 2, and I wanted to do a proper full spoiler cast on that. So I had in my head that I wanted to do it as a proper podcast instead of the way that I normally do the vlogs as well, which is something that I want to try and do a bit more of on the channel, so that I'm using the mic a bit more close up with a bit more pristine sound, all those sorts of things. Anyway, so I've just finished recording the spoiler cast for The Last of Us Part 2, so I'm going to start editing that together once I finish chin-wagging here. The podcasts will be without the sort of, the gameplay footage and stuff that I put in the background normally. They'll be more focused on well, I won't ruin it, but I'll let you wait and see the spoiler cast. I don't, you can go on and have a little look. I don't ruin the game within the first 5 minutes of talking. I do tell you at the beginning to go away. I actually talk about The Last of Us Part 1 for a number of minutes before I go on to Part 2. So you won't admit, and I do give another spoiler alert before I start talking about the Last of Us Part 2 spoilers. So you could go on and see what I did, but I'm doing it more as a podcast type thing. So that will go up as podcast 1 and Last of Us Part 2 spoiler cast, or something of that ilk title wise. And we'll continue to do the vlogs as my general chinwags with you, on a Friday or whenever I do those. But I'd quite like to do proper podcasts like that. I know a lot of people like listening to these sorts of things when in their earphones when they're running, or whatever. So the better the sound that I can get if I'm going to do a chat like that, the better as far as I'm concerned. And it actually was really nice for me, because when you see me, I'm sat in a proper office chair. I've got the mic right up close to my face. I can sort of lean back, and it just lends itself to probably a little bit more thoughtful process of thinking. And it was really nice to do. I really enjoyed it. So I think I'll try and do more of these podcasts as we go forward. But I may home them in on very specific things. My weekly ones are always quite generically sort of what's happened this week and blah, but I'd quite like to do more podcasty ones rather than just general chit chat ones, and maybe just style them a different way when I put them up. I still haven't decided in my head as I'm recording this as to how I'm going to style that and put it up. Whether I'll keep it full screen or whether I'll have me in the middle with a bit of background and, just make it a little bit more... Because it's more about what I'm saying than it is what I'm showing. So, just make it a little bit prettier on the screen, as it were. And the way that I've recorded it has some visuals behind me, but, that's just in the room, not me editing anything in. So it was interesting. It's my first time trying it. You can let me know in the comments of here and the podcast itself as to what you thought of the setup with where I was sitting in the room, with what I had on behind me, and how the mic sounded, all that sort of stuff. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. I loved it. So much, in fact, that the way that I'd set it up, the laptop had to be behind me, and normally I can see how long I've been recording by how long the microphone's been recording on the laptop. I couldn't see that this time, so I just kept chatting away. It felt like a long time. Not in a bad way, it just felt like I'd been talking for a while. It turned out it was an hour and I think it was an hour and 25 minutes or something like that. I think by the time I lop off the bits at the beginning and end, it's probably about an hour and 20 minutes. Probably the longest I've talked in anything like that non-stop. And bear in mind, I don't edit. Most of the time I talk into the camera. I've talked about it before. I don't like it when people lop out bits because they got it wrong, or just if you lose your train of thought, just pause for a second. It's okay to have a couple of seconds silence. Or tell people you've lost your train of thought and move on to something else. But I try not to edit me speaking very often. It's very rare that I do it, so it's always just one take of me chatting. So that was an hour and 20 minutes of me talking to myself, people. It was therapy. I'll tell you that much. It's therapy every week, to be fair. So yeah, I mean, that, as far as it goes, my whole week has been The Last of Us Part 2. And my rant last Friday, I won't. I mean, I'll talk a little bit about it without spoiling anything. But my rant last Friday, I had 2 days break. Well, it wasn't a rant. I was just sort of, why is the game making me do this? I took a 2 day break that I would have done normally. Don't normally play on a Friday and a Saturday, and then get back to it. Got back to it on Sunday evening, and my God, people, I just fell in love with the game all over again. And oh, it's outstanding, people. It's outstanding. The Last of Us Part 2 is outstanding. And for me, it's a 10 out of 10. Well, it's 11 out of 10. If I could give it an 11, I would. But, well, I can. It's my channel. It's an 11 out of 10, people. Flags up to you all. I mean, excuse me, I had conversations with several people after that in the comments and stuff. People saying that they'd obviously got it wrong or a mistake, but it's not until you take a breather, step away like I did and go back and then just start playing it again, you suddenly start realising what they did and why they did it. And it isn't like other games where it forces you to play as somebody else for no reason whatsoever other than they ran out of ideas. They're making you play as somebody else for a very, very important reason. Or many important reasons, actually. And the way that it all clicks is just phenomenally good. And any game that can make people so polarised in their opinions of it and make people go away and rethink everything and constantly think about it, constantly think about how that... For me, there is no other way that story really could have been... You could have tweaked things here and there, but to tell that story the way they wanted to tell it, to talk about the repercussions of what Joel did in the first game and deal with them, this game had to be kind of what it was. And they did it superbly. And if you can get over what I called in my podcast, the 2 breakpoints of that game, if you can get over those 2 breakpoints, they hurt you and they'll take you to places, but if you can get over those 2 breakpoints, you will adore that game. And it'll break your heart in 1,000 places. But it is such a great game. I mean, it is so good, people. Honestly. Like, absolutely amazing. And I can't believe where I am this Friday to where I was last Friday, because I made that point of sitting down with the game again when I reached that break point. That there's 2 break points, one of which wasn't a break point for me. The second one, that break point was my break point. And because I sat back down with that game again after I had my moment of break, and then took a pause, stepped away, stepped back in again. I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's your own. It's yourself that's stopping you. It's not the game. It's your inner being saying, "But I don't like that, so I'm not doing it." And you've got to step out of yourself a little bit. The game makes you feel uncomfortable in many places, and it's not pleasant in places, but it's meant to be there to force you to rethink everything you thought was right or wrong or indifferent. It's making you rethink everything. And it's hard. It's hard to do it when you're talking about 2 characters that you adore from the first game, so... Oh, absolutely brilliant, people. I couldn't have more praise for that game. And I can't play it immediately again because I need time to process it. It's like there's no other games ever, 1 and 2. There's no other games like The Last of Us 1 and 2 that have ever made me think for months and, well, days, months, weeks and years about the stories and what happens to characters afterwards and all this sort of stuff. Absolutely brilliant. So I've not really taken in anything to do with gaming as such at all. My week has literally just been playing The Last of Us, getting through it, getting to the end of it, and being able to watch all the spoiler casts, get the opinions of Naughty Dog and everyone else. And yeah, I mean, I still can't stop thinking about it constantly. Finished it on Wednesday and I still keep thinking about it. The only thing that takes my mind off it is when I'm working. I start coding and I start thinking about something else. But yeah, absolutely terrific. Couldn't love it more. And it's interesting that I love it stronger in the places where Aaron Brew, my son, loves it in different places. There are places that are similarly loved, but it's interesting how, again, how polarizing each section of the game can be. Never mind the game in itself. Not that there was any part I didn't like. It was just that I found some areas to me more enjoyable than others when it came to the action more than anything. But that's just my preference on the type of enemy more than anything else. I just prefer fighting the infected to humans, or one set of humans preferred to another, only really because of what it dishes out and what I find interesting, not because there's anything wrong with it. So there you are. So I don't really have much else to talk about, but what I didn't want to do was not do a Flaggers Up Friday vlog at all, because for those people who wanted to know my thoughts on, or my final thought on the game without spoiling it, so didn't want to delve into the spoiler cast, I just wanted to post up a quick Flaggers Up Friday vlog for you to get my overall opinion on the game, which is 11 out of 10, outstanding, compared to last week's facepalm. So there you are. You have it, people. You have it. I'm going to go away now. I know it's only been 11 minutes, but I'm going to go away now, and I'm going to edit together this new podcast of mine, and that will also be up this evening, and you'll be able to get, for those people that have finished the game or not bothered about playing the game and aren't bothered about it being spoiled, then you can get your teeth stuck into that later on this evening. We're at 7:30 now because it took a while to set everything up, and then an hour and 20 odd minutes to record it. It'll take me probably about an hour to edit it together because I don't have any pieces for like intros, outros for podcasts and stuff, so I need to have a little think about what I want to stick on it. I had anticipated doing a bit of that before going around to recording it, but I just didn't get the chance. So it may take an hour or so to get all that piece together, and that'll take us to night. So it could be about 10 o'clock before I get the actual podcast up, thereabouts. We'll see how we go. Anyway, I want loads of comments anywhere, here or in the podcast itself, about all of your opinions on The Last of Us Part 2. Please save any spoilery comments for the spoilercast, for the podcast, because we don't want people stumbling across comments in this that are spoilery. So if you can keep any comments that are spoilery to this spoilercast, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry this is a little bit of a short one for you, but again, you will be getting an hour and 20 minutes of me blabbing on about The Last of Us Part 2 in a podcast not very far from now. Flaggins up to you all. You're all fantastic people. Do you have a bit of this? Can I just say, I think we're about 12 away from 6,000 subs, people. That is just ridiculous, and we'll talk a bit more about that if we reach the 6,000 mark. But we are very close, people. I spotted it the other day. I thought, Jesus Christ, that's quite close, isn't it? So thank you to everyone. Thank you. I'll do a proper thank you if we hit the 6,000 mark. But thank you, and welcome to everyone who's been joining. So there you are. That's all I've got for you in this little cheap short vlog of mine. It has been an honour, even though short, and a privilege to serve for you in this Flaggers Up Friday vlog of mine. And I shall see you on the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.